Happy Tuesday. Well, pretty sore today. Had a pretty crazy workout yesterday. 2 crazy workouts. So gonna need today to recover. I'm gonna do my best to eat 100% clean today and just allow my body to, you know, get all the flush all the toxins out and just recover. One day may not be enough, but I'm right back in action tomorrow. I don't care. Tomorrow's my freeboarding day, so I'm hopping on my board, and then I have back tomorrow, which I only do once a week. So I try not to miss my back workouts. I like back workouts. They're great. Being an endomorph really is a trying thing. You know, it's, you know, it just, you know, it just really gets hard sometimes to think about the fact that you have these people over here who can just consume whatever they want and their body stays, you know, lean and trim. And then you have endomorphs who can eat nothing. You know, you can eat nothing all day as far as like poundage of food. And then you can have a little bit of something that's bad for you and it throws off your entire day. And it's crazy because you have all this energy and all these abilities, but yet, you know, at the same time, you know, it's like you can't, you know, you have an appetite too and you can't even like feed yourself, you know, like today. I feel like I need to recover. So I mean, you know, if I was just to go off of like my natural instincts, I would say, man, I need to go out and I need to have, you know, like some, you know, potatoes and some, you know, and pancakes for breakfast. You know, I mean, I want to load them up with butter, but you know, I want to get some carbs in. I want to have some foods that are going to, you know, help me recover, some foods that are going to be rewarding and get my glycogen levels back up and help repair my muscles. However, if I eat like that, I'm not gonna lose any fat today. It's gonna be just a waste of my time. All the workout from yesterday is just gonna be a total waste. My recovery process isn't gonna be one that's going to dispose of the fat that's in my body, fat reserves, and I'm just gonna hold on to fat and possibly gain weight, even though my body's in this recovery phase. You know, I have to eat 100% clean today for the most part if I want to see any, you know, weight loss. You know, as we've said before, you know, this channel is for endomorphs that are trying to get lean and chiseled. That's what I'm all about. I'm not bulking right now. I already did that. So, you know, just understand. I just want people to understand, especially, you know, the people I'm speaking to, endomorphs. You know, you're gonna have to be stronger than most people mentally. You're gonna have to make a lot of change, especially if you come from the kind of background that I come from. African American, eating crappy food, you know, never anyone talking about nutrition to you. If they were, they didn't know what the heck they were talking about. You know, talking about calories when really calories have a very small amount to do with it. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong, calories in, calories out is a great thing. But if you go calories in, calories out as an endomorph and you're slapping these carbohydrates and sugars and processed foods down your throat, you're done. Or you're gonna have a long road. You may get there, but you're gonna have a long road. If you cannot dial in controlling your insulin levels, if you cannot dial in getting these carbohydrates under control and managing them in a way, you know, that is going to keep your body burning fat reserves, not the fat you eat, your cut is gonna be just silly. You're gonna be spinning your wheels for weeks and weeks, months and months, possibly years and years. I've done the calorie counting thing. It's a joke. I've done it. I've done that and I've kept my carbs. You know, I've done the 40-40, what is it? I've done the 40-30-30. You know, 40% protein, 30% carb, 30% fat. still failed. Still failed. The only thing that I've done that consistently works is either cutting out carbs all the way or relying on them through fruits and vegetables. That's the only thing that's been like surefire fat loss where I had 100% control. But over time you feel like crap and you can't maintain your muscle. That's the reason why I had to shift it to what I'm doing now, which is more of a balance. It's not if it fits your macros. It's not that. You know, no way. I can't do that. You know, and I don't even recommend that any endomorphs do that unless, you know, they're training ridiculously hard. But normal people like me that just work out, you know, 4 days a week, ride their board, you know, do a couple of runs, which is really nothing. You know, I know people that train 5 times more volume than I do. You know, my workouts aren't very long. I try my best to keep them under an hour. And what is it? I share everything. I'm totally transparent. It's 8 exercises per workout. You know, it was more before, but I've been cutting it down, trying to, you know, get the ones out of there that weren't really doing anything for me, or the ones that I felt like were just they were making it impossible for me to maintain growth in my key lifts, which is all I really care about. So I chucked those ones. But the volume that I do ain't very much. It's not. I have a hurt back. I mean, you know, my volume that I can't do I can't do that much volume. So looking at that, I mean, you know, come on. You know, you can't eat what you want to eat when you're training at the volume I'm training at. You know, you'd have to be basically like in the military or that level of exertion to be able to just eat what you want as an endomorph. Sweating, you know, sweat pouring off you every time you work out. So, you know, just today I just want to, you know, talk quickly about empowerment. You know, you have to empower yourself. You have to quit thinking that this is just some la. I'm just gonna be able to do it. Oh yeah, turn the switch on. Because I've been there. I've had great success. I've had a 6-pack. I've been lean. I've lost, you know, tremendous, you know, ridiculous amounts of weight. Over 100 pounds. You know, well over. And kept it off for a little while too. Looked good. Felt great. But the thing is you know, is the route that you're going sustainable? That's the thing. If it's not sustainable, it doesn't mean anything. Now, I'm heavier now than I have been before. Is that a failure? I mean, you know, you could call it a failure. I mean, I don't call it a failure. I call it learning. You had to learn because it wasn't something that worked long term for me. It wasn't something I was going to be able to do forever. So, you know, I feel like today that you need to figure out a way for you to power up your self-discipline. You need to find a way to power up your self-discipline in a way where you can create the habits that it's going to take. You know, I've shared the one with you before. The best thing I think for an endomorph is, you know, I think you should implement the fast over time, but I think you should eat fruits or vegetables, 200 grams or less, or 150 to 200 grams every hour on the hour, you know, and go off that thermic effect of food method. Fruits and vegetables, you know, and then if you eat protein, maybe have that crap, you know, a few times throughout the day, no more than 150 to 200 grams at a time, you know, and eat every hour on the hour as an endomorph. That's what I recommend. And keep you know, keep your carbs to the fruits and vegetables. You know, I really, you know, I want to give everyone something that's going to work. You know, I'm not trying to act like I'm a professional. I'm just sharing the stuff that I've been through, the stuff that's worked for me. And if you're trying to get disciplined, I think that's the way you should do it. I don't think you should worry about all these meals. I think you should just prep some stuff out at the beginning of the week, 3, 4, 5 days in advance, and eat every hour on the hour, you know, healthy fruits and vegetables. You know, if it's some, you know, dates eat, you know, great. If it's some bananas you got cut up 200 grams, great. If it's some cantaloupe you got cut up to watermelon 200 grams, you know, but always putting something in your mouth. You know, apples throughout the day, you know, broccoli, you know, 200 grams of broccoli, which is a lot of broccoli. You know, if you want to have some little dressing with it, just count the calories of the dressing. You can have some fats every day, you know, but You know, that's what I recommend for someone that's really trying to get things under control. You know, that's the, you know, I like to call that one, I guess, the power up diet, you know, because, you know, yeah, it's going to suck for a while because you're not going to be able to eat these big meals and do all these things that you're used to doing. But, you know, it's all about getting to that goal. It's all about getting yourself under control. Is that method sustainable? Probably not. You know, for some people it is. You know, for some people just say, okay, I'm going to do this all week, and then on the weekends, I'm not going to let everything go to total crap, but I'm going to go out and have a big meal after my workout. You know what I mean? But the rest of the time, I'm going to live like this, where I'm eating healthy, nutritious foods every hour on the hour while I'm awake. So, happy Tuesday.